Okay, guys, this is going to be a real short and sweet one. I just want to like rapid fire talk about all my performance fails because I think it's funny. And it just shows that no matter what, everyone goes through this stuff. I mean, not that I'm Beyonce or anything, but still. I've been doing this a while and I've got plenty of these stories. This is just all the ones I could think of right now, but I'm sure I have more. So I'll probably make another episode like this. Okay, my first story is one that I mentioned in, I believe, my audition outfit podcast or one of my other audition podcasts. So if you've heard this already, you can skip it, but it's pretty insane. So, painting the picture. I'm at UMD. I'm a senior in undergrad. So that means I'm 21 years old. So I'm not in middle school. I am an adult. I'm 21. And I have my senior recital coming up. And both of the pieces I ended up singing in this scenario, I was going to be doing on my senior recital, which was like a week or two from this performance. And this performance was at what UMD calls a noon recital, which basically every Tuesday at 12:30, funny enough, not at noon, at 12:30, every single person in the voice department and all of the faculty would have to go to noon recital. And every student would have to do one noon recital performance per semester. But there are so many students that, it would add up to a full program every Tuesday for a whole semester. And everyone would go once. And then you do it again the next semester. So my noon recital happened to fall only a week or two before my senior recital. So I was like, cool, get a little time to practice. So I programmed the same music. Makes sense. I performed a Wolf piece that, funny enough, I can't remember the name of anymore. And then I also performed Toothbrush Time by Bill Bolcom, cabaret style song. But the first one was German Lied by Wolf. Super beautiful, super short, and super easy, guys. Like, I've sang some hard rep, and especially up until that point, I'd been singing hard stuff. This was just not that. And I get up there, and I'm waiting in the wings to go on, and for some reason, I'd practiced and practiced. I felt good about it. Right before I got on, I was like, what if you forget all the words right now? And I said that to myself. So then I was like, oh no. And then I started to try and like sing the whole song, the German song, in my head over and over to prove to my internal voice that I did know the words. And I did know the words. But I gave myself doubt. And then I was like, well, I got to prove to myself that I know the words. So I'm trying to do the words. And now the more you try to remember something, the more you forget it. So now I'm like, oh my God, I don't know the words. So I get up on the stage. Everyone's applauding me. I bow. The song starts. And I kid you not, every word of the song was gone from my brain. And I don't even mean like a verse was flipped or I sang some other German words. I didn't get back on once. So I sang blah, 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 blah on the notes. I probably got most of the notes right. Rhythms were right. It was blah, 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 blah. Everybody knew this. And there were even some teachers lightly singing along, trying to get me back on. Not a single thing they sang jogged my memory. I did ba 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 ba. It was the most mortifying thing I'd ever experienced. To this day, probably. Then, I sang Toothbrush Time, and I was like, okay, I'm going to kill this. Didn't get the words wrong. Everything was good. Went off, probably cried my eyes out. Freaked out because I was singing it like next week on my recital. And then when it got to my recital, I was like, you better not psych yourself out this time. And I didn't. Everything went well on my recital. That's all that matters. I'm still alive to tell the tale, but what the heck? Don't self-doubt right before. Oh my God, I can't believe I was like, I bet you don't know the words. And then I forgot them all. Oh, okay, next story. I was in Sweeney Todd in high school. I was Mrs. Lovett. And we all had 2 performances, and we were with full orchestra. And we were doing the Not While I'm Around Toby song, but Mrs. Lovett sings a couple lines and talks through it a little bit. And I don't know what the heck happened, but I very confidently skipped like 6 pages of music during the show, during the performance, the actual performance. And all of a sudden, you hear the orchestra kind of start to fade because they all don't know what's going on. The conductor realizes where I am in the score, whispers to all of the members of the orchestra, measure 34, we're on measure 34. And they all skip to measure 34, and they pick me up, and we kept going. And I got off, and I was like, oh my God, that was so scary. And the director did not even notice it. That's how good this orchestra was in high school. But boy, was that mortifying. Talk about it happening at the performance. Oh my God, worst nightmare. Next thing, this is a short one. This is now in college. I went to a Gap audition. I don't know which one it was, but I decided to bring Non so più cosa son from La Notte di Figaro. I know it's overdone. It's a mezzo anthem, but you know, sometimes if you feel you do something well that's overdone, then just do it because you do it well. And if they hear it over and over again, but then they see you doing it well, then they're going to get excited about it. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I feel good about. And my teachers had told me that too. Like, I know this is overdone, but you do it so well, you should just do it. So I said, okay. So I go up to the pianist, and I try not to be in a condescending way to a pianist because they're very, very important, amazing people, and they're extremely good at what they do, and I'm sure they all know Non so più cosa son. But it's always good to be overly communicative so that nothing goes wrong, you know. So I was going to give him a tempo, just a tempo. I wasn't going to like mansplain him the piece. I just wanted to give him my tempo, especially because for those that don't know this song, it's very fast, or it can be taken very fast, and people sometimes do it as standard very fast. I'm one of those people, but if they didn't know that, or if they decided to go slower or too fast, it could have been a disaster. So I just want to give the tempo. And they saw that I had put Non so più on the piano. He rolled his eyes harder than he ever could have possibly, and then said, I think I know this one. And I was like, okay. So then I go up in front of the panel. They don't look up once. I'm doing bad because I was so thrown off by what just happened, and anxiety really manifests in my physical body even more than mentally. So that just like set my body into fight or flight. So I did not sound good. And then they just said, okay, thanks. And they had you prepare like 6 songs, and I was overhearing everyone outside the audition room, and they ask everyone for their second piece, for a second contrasting piece. They did not ask me for a second contrasting piece. They just let me walk right at the door, never heard from them again. Bam. Another one, also in college, another Yap audition. This was a Zoom audition, and I was singing Que fais-tu from Romeo et Juliet by Gounod. Another mezzo anthem, but one that I really love and will keep singing. And during the Zoom meeting, this man is walking like far back in the frame. Like, he's not sitting at a desk in front of his computer. He's walking like I can see his full body. That's how far away he is from his computer. He's walking back and forth, in and out of the frame, eating food, eating a sandwich, coming up close, going back. I'm not making this up. And it was so distracting that I forgot all of the words to a point where I just stopped. I was like, I'm so sorry. Can I start again? And he was like, no. And that was it. That was just a disaster. I was like, what the heck is this guy doing? Don't do that to people. Okay. Then I auditioned for The Voice or American Idol, one of those things. And it was one of those Zoom auditions. And it was literally like when American Idol first came out, and they would put all those like really horrible auditions in there for everyone's entertainment. It sounded like that the whole entire Zoom call, and everyone sang in front of each other. And I was one of the last people to go. And I thought that I had done pretty well in comparison to the people like singing off key and whatnot. But I decided to scat because I like to do that. And he was like, very interesting. As if this was like some grand new thing he'd never heard in a way that was like, well, that was weird. I was just like, what the heck? That's not that funny, but I was just like, what? Okay. These are just bad experiences. But some of them are funny. The last thing, this one's actually kind of funny. The Cadence was having a show, funny enough, in a church. And we all had handheld microphones. So sometimes when we would do our little choreography, we would use the mics as choreo. Like, we would keep the mics at our side and then all put them up at the same time or at different counts, and it would be like part of the dance. So at one point, I'm singing the solo, so I'm in the center, front and center. And I'm wearing like a shorter, flowy dress. And I didn't realize my pinky was stuck on my dress on the mic hand. And we all had to jut our mics up really quick at the same time. And I did that, and my whole dress came up, and it's on YouTube. I don't know if it's still up. It's very quick. So if you're going looking for it, you're going to be like, oh, that's nothing. But to me, I was like, oh my God, I flashed the audience. Okay. That's the end of this episode. If you have any really funny stories like this, or just like audition fails or performance fails, let me know. I'm going to make it so that you can comment yours under this. But also, if you want to like text, email, submit on my website, go on my Instagram and tell me, DM me, whatever. I want to know, because these bring me joy. And then maybe I'll make another episode with all of your fails, because that would be fun. Okay, love you. Bye.